Hello everyone and welcome to Mathematics. So this video will focus on chapter 4, Indices, Surds and Logarithms, and let's aim ourselves to learn one thing from this video. Alright, so I'll let you have a few seconds to go through these few questions first. Alright, so for the first question, we need to find the value of this logarithm expression. So if we zoom into their bases, you can see that all these three values are different: square root y, x, and 3. So this is actually our first step, which is to change all these values, which is the base, to the same base, to one single value. Right, so we can use this formula to help us out. This log base AB will be transformed into this fraction. So the B, I will move it to the top, the A, I will move it to the bottom, and here I will put the new base, which is C. Right, so if you want to memorize this formula, you can think it as you are trying to change shoes. So let's say you are B and you're wearing shoe A. So if you look at the numerator, you have changed the shoe from A to C. And for the old shoe, you'll put it in your shoe cabinet, so it will appear in the denominator. Right? So going back to the question, the base that we want to change will be 10. Okay? Because this base 10 is actually the most common base in logarithms. Right? So here I will apply the first formula here and change all the logarithms base to 10. And you can see that for the old bases, which is square root y, x, and 3, will all appear at the denominator. And now if we look at the values here, which is 9 and 3, they have actually a relationship, right? Because this 9 can be expressed as 3 squared. Right? So for the next line, I will write 9 as 3 squared. And this square root, I will change it to the value. So here will be y to the power of 1 over 2. The reason I'm doing this is because we are going to step 2, which is to manipulate these logarithms, simplify them, and find a value. Right, so one of the formulas to manipulate is actually this. For the value's power, we can move it to the front. Right? So here, I will move 2 to the front, 1 over 2 to the front, if we apply the second formula. Right, so the next line I will put 2 and 1 over 2 here, and you may notice that all of the logarithms can be crossed off. For example, this log base 10 3, and here log base 10 3. So I can cross off. Log base 10y here also appear the same thing, so I can cross off, and for the x as well. So here, if you cross off everything, we only left two values, which is 2 and 1 over 2, and we divide them, and this will be our answer, which is 4. Alright, so moving on to the second question, we have this equation, and we need to find the value of p. So value of p is actually the logarithm's value. So to find this value, we need to simplify the right side. Then we can only find the value of p. So once we find the value of p, we need to find this value if the base is actually square root 2 over 3. Right? So let's focus on the first part of this question. Let's simplify the things on the right side. So the first step, which is to change the base. But here we don't need to do anything, because if you look at their bases, all of them is the same, which is a. Right? So we can skip step 1 and go to step 2, which is to manipulate. So we can manipulate by combining these logarithm values. But before combining, we need to make sure there is no value in front of the log. For example here, we need to settle this 5. So to do so, we can actually use the second formula here. Instead of moving the power to the front, we can now move it back. Right? It's like a mom, which is B, trying to pull back its baby, which is N. Alright, so I will move this 5 to the front. Right, and now we can combine these logarithm values. Right, so to combine them, we can use these two formulas. So if we want to add two logarithm values, we need to multiply its value. If minus, we need to divide. So it's like we are making friends, right? If good friends, we'll be together. If it's a bad friend, we need to separate them. So it'll be like x divided by y. Alright, so here we can now combine them. So this first value is positive, so I'll move it at the top. This is plus, so I'll multiply. and here is minus, so I'll divide 3 over 5. Right, so you simplify the things inside here, you will get 4 over 81. And now if you look back to the question, there is no value in front of this log, right? So for this value 1 over 2, we need to pull it back. Okay, the mom have to pull back its baby. So here, we will add a square root here, because 1 over 2 is actually square root, right? So if we square root this value, it will be 2 over 9. And by comparing this and this, we can actually get the value p. Alright, so once we find the value of p, this is actually our result. But here, there's a problem, which is the base has a square root. So how do we further simplify this? So actually, there is a relationship between the base and the value. So I'll give her around 5 seconds to think about this relationship. Alright, so it's actually, if we square this value, you can actually get 2 over 9. Right? So if we square, if you use a calculator, you will get 2 over 9. So here, I can transform this to be this. Right? Why am I doing this is because I can move this power to the front by using the second formula. And if, for the log, if the base and the value is the same, it will become 1. So here I have only 2 values, 2 and 1, so if I multiply them, it will be our answer, which is 2. And with that, we have completed today's question. Alright, so here's the take-home point for this video. So for logarithm questions in general, we actually have 3 steps. So the first step is to change the base, so which is the changing shoe formula. And step 2 is to manipulate the logarithms to simplify and find the value. So we can use the mother and baby relationship formula and the making friends formulas. And step 3, so this is actually optional depending on the question, but sometimes when we further simplify, we will get this form, which is the logarithm form, and we are stuck. So step 3 is to help us to change the form from log to index. Alright, so we actually need to do 2 things. One, which is to expand the A, and we exchange the places between m and n. So for step 1, step 2 and step 3, you can memorize it in a way that it is a process, right? So let's say during early morning, you are trying to go to school and you will change your shoes. And once you arrive at your school, your mom or your dad will drop you off. And during the process, you'll be making new friends. And then when you're talking with your friends, you will exchange information, correct? So it's like we are changing the value of m and n, right? So you can memorize it as a process. Okay, so here's the answer scheme for this question, and hopefully you have learned something new from this video. So if you feel this video is beneficial to you, please give a like, subscribe and share. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye bye.